What is a White Scar Space Marine without their combat bike? Well, I think that White Scars would argue that they're definitely not a White Scar, and they probably would say they're not even a Space Marine. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Spruce and Studs, and today we're going to be looking at the White Scars version of the Raider Pattern Combat Bike. And then in the second part of the video, I'm going to be comparing the Black Templars version, which I already bought a few months prior, versus the White Scars version to see if there's any kind of improvements that JoyToy made or any kind of different things that they might have adjusted on each bike. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, let's get this thing out of the shipping container. Open it. There you go. And the spear. Okay, ahead of us we have the White Scar version of the Raider Pattern Combat Bike. So let's just dive into this lovely mecha and see what's up. But always we start off with the weapons that are involved. And this actually was not included on previous other action figures, specifically the Black Templars nor the Ultramarines version of the Raider Pattern Combat Bike. So anyways, let's take a look at the painting and the detail. And again, I actually like the painting that's involved. It is a lot cleaner than I would actually expect. It kind of reminds me of Corsair's Moonfang, where you've got this lighter silver at the edge of the blade and it gradually transitions to this darker gunmetal at the back over here, which is really interesting. So I would actually estimate that this spear is probably as tall as a regular Space Marine. So just looking at the rest of the spear, you've got some nice ornate decorations over here. Now moving on to the whole bread and butter of this video, which is the combat bike, let's just see what's going on with it. So as usual, you have your twin-linked bolt rifles up top. So as I like to always focus in on the armaments first, let's just take a look at what's going on with it. So there are light highlights going on with the bolters up top. And then looking at the barrel of it, it actually seems like there is really not that much weathering that's going on compared to the bolt rifles that you actually find on a regular Space Marine. This is actually very clean looking. As I spin this over to the other side, it looks like much is the same. And then I'll have to comment that just straight up, I'm actually surprised at how clean looking this bike is. Usually JoyToy has a ton of weathering that's going on with their mecha. You would see a ton of weathering, a lot of like dirty dots and stuff that they would put. But looks like this combat bike is insanely clean. You have weird shading in areas that I don't believe that should be shaded for some odd reason. So usually with these armor panels, especially up top with these heavy edges, you would actually find shading up here. You would actually find a highlight. So this is kind of an interesting take that JoyToy did with the overall aesthetic of this bike. So true to form, JoyToy has weathered the wheels of the bike, and it's nice that they put a little grime on the tires, as it should be, because these things are supposed to be going over mud and all kinds of terrain. And the same is the case back here. So you get to see a lot of weathering and a lot of mud that's going on. And as we move on, let's just take a look at the body of this whole entire bike. They did a very good job of screening the White Scar symbol on the side of this bike, as well as on the top, and as well as the other side. So as we're taking a look at the handlebar area, one thing that actually jumps out at me is that this screen over here is completely blank. This is where a Space Marine usually has the readouts of the battle that's going on, and I'm surprised that JoyToy didn't put some sort of like translucent blue color over here to indicate that, you know, the screen is on, or perhaps the bike is off, so that's why it's black. I have absolutely no idea, but I would prefer that they would have actually added something over there. And then progressing onto the back end, you have this nice gunmetal color over here that you would find on all the bolt rifles. And this gunmetal has been dry brushed with a light silver. And I like how they put the dry brush at the edges of the panels, which is what it's supposed to be like. And then looking at the exhaust, I really do like the exhaust and the gradient that's going on, especially with this smoky kind of look back here, which would mimic exactly what an exhaust would look like. Obviously, where the gas escapes the bike, this would be darker. And as you gradually move up over here, it would make sense that this part is lighter. Let's just take a look at the articulation of this bike. There's actually not that much articulation that's involved. So the wheels, both of them, will spin. Very free-flowing, which is nice, as you can see here. And the foot pedals, you can move back and forth like so that you can have the Space Marine sit very comfortable in his bike. The handlebars themselves, they aren't really attached to anything, so it doesn't affect the movement of the front tire at all. You just move this back and forth, and that's the degree of motion that's going on with this bike. So as I have already bought the Black Templar version of this bike, I'm actually curious to see if there's any sort of differences or any kind of improvements that JoyToy made with it. So let me do a very quick comparison with that bike with this one side by side. Okie dokie, we have both versions now side by side with each other. Let's see if there's any kind of difference that I could possibly see with this. Taking a look back at the Black Templars version, it doesn't actually seem like there's much departure from what we are seeing with the White Scars one. Both feature a very weathered wheel, front and back. Both feature the same exhaust tips as well as the same painting pattern. The painting is the exact same in the back area of the bike where the gunmetal is. And the same thing is going on with the other side over here. The bolters are exactly the same too. If you watch my review video of the Black Templars bike, you will notice that this side is actually not painted compared to this side. So it looks like with the White Scars version, I'm glad that this is now completely uniform. As you can see side by side, this is a lot lighter and this side is a lot darker. And you got the same lights that are underneath over here. No departure from that. And looking at the handlebar area, looks like everything is painted exactly the same. The screen is blank on both, but I'll have to say that the White Scars version actually has highlighting, which is really nice because it makes the bike stand out. So in terms of painting on the White Scars version, it appears that there is improvement, which is really nice to see. All right, folks, that is the side-by-side comparison of the two bikes completed. Now let me wrap this up with my final thoughts on the White Scars version. Yes, I am hiding out behind this combat because I just have a face for radio, apparently. I'm kidding. So what do I think about this bike? Obviously, again, I think that these bikes are very cool. No other action figure company has even attempted to do something of the scale like JoyToy has. So they've got a lot of things that are going for them just for that. I do really like the inclusion of the spear over here because it is very, very thematic for the White Scars to have something like this. They are always at the front lines of battle, and they always like to use their metal steeds to mow over their enemies in battle, so it would make sense that they would have a spear, just like a cavalry would back in the old days. So the most important question is, Spruce, should I get this? Well, that comes with a bunch of caveats. One, obviously, you would need to get this if you're a White Scars fan. It's a complete no-brainer for you, mainly because White Scars always ride their metal steeds into battle. Two, if you bought the White Scars line of JoyToy action figures, then also this is a no-brainer for you. You should buy this. If you've never bought a combat bike before, you should just buy this so that you can have this in your collection because this is a very, very cool mecha. They do a fantastic job of just replicating everything with the wheels, bolt rifles, all the way back here with the exhaust. It's just an amazing product. If you bought the Black Templars version or the Ultramarines version, then I would probably say that you could probably pass on this. There's actually not that much of a difference between the White Scars one and the Black Templars one, as you saw earlier in the video. So that's why I said if you have the previous version, you could probably pass on that. So anyway, as usual, this is Spruce and Studs. Thank you for tuning in and watching the channel so religiously. I would definitely not be here without your support. I love you all, and thank you for your continued viewership. And as usual, I will see you all in the next one.